Good morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you are listening to this. This is Nerdin' Out episode 2. My name is Evan.
And I'm Nathaniel, and we are listening to this live. We're not listening to it at all.
Why would we be listening to this live?
Well, I mean, we could just have our earbuds in and be listening to what we're saying, but
That's
we don't.
true. We don't, but
We're not that professional.
no, not yet. We're like doing this in a spare room, and there's like no soundproofing walls, which is probably why the audio doesn't sound amazing.
Did you ever, I'm pretty sure you watched Chronicles of Narnia, or at least read it.
Yes.
Speum? Remember that? We are in Speum.
We from the glorious land of Speum. Oh my gosh.
That's great.
That was good. But yeah, so you got any news for us? Any weekly nerd news?
Yeah, so Stranger Things 3 officially got confirmed by
Awesome.
Netflix. We already knew it was coming, but
Right.
they just made an official announcement that they are just an official press release.
Okay. Do they have a release date?
I don't think so. I think it's too early for that, but I'm pretty sure next year.
Right.
Because that's typically how shows go.
Yeah. Surprise! Coming out for Christmas.
This Christmas.
Stranger Things
in
3.
1 month.
In 1 month, dude.
It is.
If they got an entire season done in a month, that would be insane.
Also, it wouldn't be very good. But
Probably not.
if it was in 1 month and it was really good, that'd be insane.
It
It's
would be
how
insane.
did you do that? No CG.
It's like that is commitment.
So yeah, I'm really excited about that.
No CG, no like Henry Cavill, mustache CG, no.
Just like CG a bunch of mustaches on the kids. But yeah, I'm really excited for that. It's gonna be a while, but it'll be worth the wait.
Yeah, it's always worth the wait. Then Avengers: Infinity War, that trailer dropped.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
I'm so freaking ready for that.
I know.
I can't wait. I can't wait for May. May can't come soon enough. I'm so ready for this. It has you see almost the full roster.
Yeah.
In this one trailer, and now I think you see everyone that's going to be in it.
Yeah, unless they have some surprises for us.
Well, I know there's some of the Dark or the Black Order that Thanos part of his Black Order. Not all of them showed up. The one female character, I can't remember her name.
The blue one, the android.
No,
Not his daughter.
That's Gamora's daughter. No, these are
Gamora's daughter.
Oh no, Gamora's sister.
Yeah.
Gamora's a mama. These are basically more of his children, more of his adopted children.
Right.
And I can't remember the name of the one character, but she's the one. She's the person who throws the spear at Captain America and he catches it.
Okay.
That's him. You have to slow it down to kind of see her face, but
Yeah.
that's her. So she makes an appearance, and that's her character. Other than that, we don't really see any other of the Black Order.
Right.
You see a lot of his copy and paste CGI monsters.
There's been a lot of talk about Thanos' look, kind of just in the trailer, because I know he's obviously not going to look like that the entire time, but have you seen the memes about people just photoshopping him as different characters?
I have not.
We'll have to check that out later, but there's people photoshopping him as Homer Simpson and stuff, and called Steve Austin, and it's just it's actually really funny.
I mean, okay, my whole idea behind the whole thing I have against that is that, I mean, he's this intergalactic, interstellar warlord. So he's he's this infinitely powerful being,
almost like a demigod, basically.
Yeah. So I think he shows up with just this tank top, basically, because he doesn't really need armor.
I mean, he's also getting the Infinity Stones. So
he's getting them.
I feel like Thanos is definitely a character that just does what he wants and just thinks he's unmatched.
Yeah, and
I think it makes total sense.
I think that's kind of how they're starting his character. He's this guy who's basically just going on a milk run right now.
Yeah.
He's
I like you put that.
Yeah, he's going on a milk run, getting the stones, and beating the crap out of anyone who gets in his way. Like you saw, he just he puts Iron Man on his face with
one punch.
hand, just so one punch. So I think right now, yeah, he's gonna look a little casual because he's not really trying right now. I feel like maybe in the second half, we'll see more armor on him, and it's gonna be him actually trying.
Right. Second half, as in second half of the film, or second part of the movie, as in
the second
movie.
second movie, because we all know this is gonna be part one of two parts. This
Right.
isn't going to be resolved with one movie, and I'm pretty sure some characters are going to die.
I mean, I'd be surprised if no one died.
I would be too. If not in this part, then in the second part.
I honestly think someone major is going to die, and that's going to be them retiring their character.
Do you have a guess who?
I feel like Iron Man is a very easy choice, but I don't know how much longer.
I think Captain America might die.
Captain America is also a good choice.
He might die only because Bucky Barnes and Falcon, the Winter Soldier and the Falcon, both of them have taken up the Captain America
Right.
mantle after Steve Rogers had died.
Yeah.
So I think this would be a good opportunity, maybe if he dies, for one of them to pick it up in the second half of the.
Yeah, and we still have that unresolved conflict with Iron Man and Captain America. And I feel like if one of them dies, it would actually make sense for the story and would build like good story content.
Yeah, and then you can have like either Tony or Steve kind of like you see their character develop through that remorse of not like resolving their conflict. I mean, you had the end of Civil War where Steve sent him the letter and was like apologizing and all stuff, but I feel like it wasn't really complete. They weren't completely reconciled.
Right. I mean, it's a piece of paper. As much as words mean, it's like not a real resolution.
Right.
But anyway, that's the trailer. I'm so hyped. It just looks incredible, and the cast like doesn't fit on a single poster. There's just so many characters.
No, there's like almost like 22 characters, I think.
Something
22 like main
that.
characters, like insane.
Anyway, that's like the main highlights of the week for news. Have you been watching or playing anything during this week?
Yeah, and you and I were talking about this before we hit record, but so okay, where I'm working, there's this girl who watches anime as well, and she recommended this anime called High School of the Dead. And if you haven't watched it, don't. It's okay. You don't have to. You're not missing much. It's not like this critically acclaimed anime that's going to win a bunch of awards. It's very basically it's a zombie apocalypse following these high school students. And
are the zombies like trying to kill them, or are
yeah,
they outside the school?
I mean, the zombies. I mean, they're trying to kill everyone. The zombies aren't biased.
And they're just having school in the middle of all this.
No, they're not having school. Like the zombie apocalypse breaks out, and it kind of falls into this chaos, and they're trying to survive.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not like they're going to school and there's zombies around. They're high school. There are high school students who.
They kind of just stuck together.
Yeah, you're following these high school students who are basically find each other and like, okay, we got to work together to survive, and then that
makes a lot more sense than what I was thinking.
And the reason why I say don't watch it is, I mean, unless you like this kind of stuff, but there's just too much fan service for me. Like it doesn't, like, the story's okay, the characters are okay, but I feel like this is mostly how can we get as much fan service into this story,
and it just kind of like relies on that.
Yeah, it relies on it a little too much, and it relies on it too much to keep your attention.
Right.
Because I feel like sometimes some of the characters are like paper thin. They give you nothing.
Yeah.
So
it's like not great story builder.
It definitely has good action, and the story is okay. But it's just some of the characters are paper thin, and they give nothing. They give nothing to the plot, nothing to the other characters.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it's just fan service. And if you don't know what fan service is, it's
Google it. Just don't Google it.
Wait, yeah, don't
Google that. Don't do it.
I don't know. It's just not. It's not classy.
Let's just go with the word skimpy. And so I've been watching Parks and Recreation again.
Awesome.
Yeah, I can't even talk because I'm just so in love with the show. It's funny.
Good transition, by the way.
No, but it's amazing, and the jokes just raw. They're perfect, and I would give something away.
That's the one with Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
Right now he's at the top of his game. There's this one part where he is touring DC, and he goes to the White House, and he's like, "So, it's called the Oval Office because Oval Redenbacher." Met with JF Kennedy in there, and they just talked and stuff. It's just, his delivery is amazing.
He is really funny. I really love him. Just as an actor, he's really funny.
Yeah, and it's just crazy that he got to start there. And to
Right.
see like how far he's made into like even like a serious action star is just like it's so crazy.
I mean, because he brings his humor into it, and he
Yeah.
makes it like he makes like any action movie like twice as funny.
he's great. And I just recently got Cuphead.
How is that? I've heard. How are you enjoying the Dark Souls DLC?
The 2D Dark Souls DLC.
The 2D scroller. Dark
So
Souls?
I had played it on my brother's computer, and
Right.
I immediately fell in love with it. Just everything about it is just so classic.
Yeah.
Just the music and everything, the intro. I still have not beat the first boss. So I beat it on my brother's computer, and then I got it. I played a little bit of it, just like enough just to kind of explore it a little bit. But the animation and everything is beautiful.
Right. Because
It's just everything about
Yeah,
it.
because it has the classic like rubber hose Looney Tunes animation style to it. Correct?
Yes, a little older than Looney Tunes, I would say.
Yeah?
Kind of like,
Well, it's going back to like the still like Warner Brothers cartoons and stuff, right?
yeah, like very early, like Mickey Mouse.
When I first saw like footage of it, I actually thought it was a cartoon, but then I
Right,
realized
because
that
it's all hand drawn.
it's all hand drawn, and it looks really really great. Like it even has like the grainy textures,
Yeah.
like like on the screen, like it's like back in like the 1930s, and it's like really cool.
Yeah, I'd definitely recommend checking that out. I got it for $15. It was 25% off. So
Wow,
yeah.
that's a good deal.
So yeah, those are just kind of things we're entertaining ourselves with, I guess, or torturing ourselves.
I
with, it
wouldn't. I
depends.
wouldn't necessarily was entertained by it. It was
Yeah, I mean-
definitely- it was. I experienced it. It was things that we've been experiencing.
Yeah, I mean, Cuphead is as great as it is really hard. So it's a little bit torturous. But yeah, our main topic for this podcast, for episode number 2, we are going to talk about Stranger Things 2. And we're going to go full spoiler, so if you haven't seen it,
You might want to
What?
just turn off now.
yeah,
you know?
also, what is wrong with you? Go
also,
watch it.
Also, you just go watch it. And if you don't have a Netflix to watch it on, steal someone's Netflix and go watch it.
Do that. Or just
For a
pirate
sec-
it. Don't pirate it. We don't
For a sec-
endorse pirating.
For a second, I thought you were going to say, like, don't do that. Stealing's not good, but you just kind of went
I
like,
just went further.
no, do it.
So, yeah.
So
Spoiler
spoiler
warning
alert,
out of
you
the
have been
way.
warned, and we're going into it. 3, 2, 1. All right. So season 2 highlights. What were the highlights for you?
So, man, it's like really hard to pick highlights just because the show is just. I think like the biggest like general highlight for me is just the fact that it one-ups the first season so
Right.
much. Like every area of the show, the music, the storytelling, the CG, just everything is just it kind of knocks it out of the park.
Right.
Like Steve like hitting one of the Demodogs out of the yard or something. And that took me a while to verbalize, but it's a halfway decent like analogy.
I love Dustin. He's like, damn it, dogs. It's like,
The what?
it's like, get the dogs out of here. He's like, you mean demodogs? It's like,
You know Demogorgons, dogs?
and he kept like doing the thing where he like puts his hand together. Like,
Yeah.
It's like the mixture. It's like, come on, like
It's like it's really obvious.
it's like I love Dustin. He's like my favorite character.
Yeah, but I like got really mad at Dustin this season when he kept
When he kept Dart, yeah, I know.
I was
But,
really mad, but
I mean, it pays off in the end.
it wasn't like for me. It wasn't illogical storytelling.
No.
It made sense to me.
No.
So this is like very near the end of the series or end of the season. But when Billy meets the Wheeler's mom,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
that is so funny. Just the chemistry that's there, and just the fact that she has this bonehead husband who just like doesn't know anything that's going on,
Yeah.
and just
I think he was asleep during that scene.
he was asleep.
Yeah.
She
So
was-
he missed all of that.
She was in the bath and he was just asleep, and she's like, answer the doorbell, and he doesn't, so she just puts on a robe and goes and answers the door,
Yeah.
and he just sleeps through the whole thing.
I didn't know she had I didn't know she had an older sister. Does that work for anybody? Like,
I feel like it shouldn't work, but it worked for me in that scene.
yeah, he seems like a guy who could pull that off though. Even like he the actor himself, he cleans up all right. If he tries,
Yeah.
he looks all right. He was the Red Ranger in Power Rangers.
So he has that going for him.
So yeah,
But also, it's just,
Red Rangers, ladies.
sold. But
Exactly.
he also doesn't really look like a high schooler. He looks a little bit older. I've had some friends say he probably got held back a few years. So yeah, so it's a little bit easier to buy it.
Yeah, he looks like he was helping.
But another, I think one of the actually highlights of the season for me was episode 7, the one where 8 is kind of not introduced because she's introduced at the beginning of the season. That episode was just really obviously kind of like, I guess, ghetto 80s type of just trashy 80s in a very different way than
trashy
the rest of the season.
80s punk misfits.
There you go. Perfect.
I captured that first scene with one phrase. There we go.
Basically. Good job. But yeah, a lot of people found it they didn't like that episode. They thought it was out of place. A lot of people said it was the worst episode of the season, and it was not only the worst episode, but just not a good episode. But I think what happens is that the feel of that episode is very different.
Yeah, I don't really agree with that. I mean, I feel the feel is different. I agree with you, and
but I
feel
thought
like
it was great.
Yeah, I think it just sets up something later for season 3, which is good. I feel like they needed at least one episode to like set things up for a later thing if they wanted to build on it. And I think that was probably a good time to do that because the episode before that we see that Elle goes missing.
Right.
And she leaves, she runs away. So it's like it's kind of just showing you where she was when all this was going down.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably about right.
And it also gives her like a really good reason to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Not only just to set up for 8 and where that goes into season 3,
Yeah.
but to give her motivation to come back and see that the way that she could have gone kind of evil, I guess, is not the right way. And also we got
Oh geez.
the amazing just like Eleven's outfit. Just kind of like the gothic look and just like she's just like bitch.
Bitchin'.
Oh,
and
even, so funny.
And even Hopper's like, yeah, bitching.
Yeah, he's like, what? At first he's just like, what'd you say? Yeah, how'd you learn that?
Where did you learn? Yeah, I love that. Oh,
I need to know. What are you thinking?
I saw a meme where he's like, who the F? And he's like, language. Whom the F?
Oh,
I love that so much. I was like,
oh, that's so funny.
Oh my gosh,
But,
that's like so perfect.
Another like big highlight for me, I guess, and this kind of ties into our next point, which is standout characters.
Yeah.
Would have to be the pairing between Hopper and Eleven.
Yeah.
Just them in the cabin in the relationship. And
I loved the end where he gets like legal rights over her and she's a Jane Hopper now.
Oh,
I know, man. Like,
my heart broke.
I was like, You know, it's funny. We actually got that spoiled for us early.
Really?
Yeah. Oh no. So me and my girlfriend Lotta, shout out to my beautiful girlfriend who I love very much. She and I watched season 2, and I misheard. I thought her name was Jade with a D-E.
Oh.
She thought it was Jane with an N-E. She was correct, obviously. I mentioned, I was talking about 11. I said, like, oh, she's looking for Jade or whatever. And she's like, who's Jade? I was like, 11. She's like, no, her name's Jane. And we went back and forth a little bit. So she went and like looked it up on IMDb, and it said Jane Hopper.
Ooh.
So we kind of had that spot. I was like, everyone was like, why is her name Jane Hopper? I was like, I don't know, because I guess she's with Hopper right now. And I said, yeah, maybe. Did she get adopted? And and she's like, I don't know. I don't want to think about it. So just keep watching it. And then later we saw that. I'm like, okay, so we did kind of get spoiled. And we just didn't know it.
But that's not like too bad a spoiler, just because you kind of have to guess what it is.
Yeah.
It's not like, but it's still like a thing.
It's still, yeah. Like I would have been. I think it would have been a more sweeter moment if I had no idea. And then I saw it.
Right.
I probably would have cried if I saw that.
Right.
Without that, like before that.
But
anyway.
just the whole Hopper and 11 thing, like the psychic tantrum, and it was great. The whole waffle sundae or whatever with all the, I want to eat one of those still.
Yeah, I almost wanted to bring like toaster waffles so we can eat like during the podcast.
Oh man, I should have thought of that.
Yeah, I know. I just didn't. So we're just gonna skip over what I thought my highlights were, or did you?
I'm sorry. I'm just like really passionate about this.
I can tell. It's fine. No, I
definitely. What highlights do you got?
I think the biggest highlight for me was the moment where like Elle returns, and there's that moment where Mike and Elle just like stare at each other, and it's that like
in the cabin.
Yeah,
in the house.
What's the
Byers' house?
Yeah, the Byers' house, yeah. And Will, there you go, Will Byer. And at Will's house, and they like look at each other and they're like, and like they're kind of tearing up, and I just heard like, oh, like, oh, I've seen you. I see you again.
It's like I'm alive again.
Yeah, and it was something that I wished happened sooner, but I'm glad it happened when it did, because that was a really good payoff. Because there was that moment when Mike was in the gym with
the Zoomer.
with Mad Max the Zoomer. Yeah. Exactly. And she saw them and was kind of like, she kind of got jealous and just assumed that he had moved on, which I was like, no, like, come back.
And then she's like, well, I'm just gonna like knock her off the skateboard and like almost break her neck, because
It's funny, if she would have waited there half a second, Mike would have turned around.
Yeah.
And he would have saw her, and then it would have been like, oh.
But it was fantastic having like that whole wait and then having that payoff.
It had a really good build up, and then the payoff in the end was great.
Yeah,
that was I think my favorite moment.
Then there was a second payoff at the snowball. What do you think about that? Kind of the dance.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I feel really bad for Dustin. Like,
oh my goodness.
I felt so bad for him. Like, no one wanted to dance with
There you go. Wow, that is spot on.
The pearly whites.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Stop doing that.
Wait, what? Steve and Dustin was another great pairing.
Yeah. I know. I like that little like mentor thing they got going. I really want to see that evolve in the third season.
Yeah.
I really want to see how that evolves, because the first season I really didn't want to like him.
Steve.
Yeah, Steve.
Yeah.
I really didn't want to like him because he had moments where he was kind of a tool, but then other moments where he like redeemed himself a little bit. And this one he had more. It was more just like he was a good guy trying to help people. And so like I kind of like turned around, and I really do like his character.
Honestly, there's only one character I dislike on Stranger Things on the whole series.
Who is that?
Mr. Wheeler. He's just like the worst dad, and I feel like that it's obviously done on purpose just to.
Oh yeah.
He's obviously like a stereotype character, but I honestly like every single character on that show, including Billy. I think they're just all great characters.
Yeah, they're all done really well. Do you think Mr. Wheeler might be killed off in the third season?
I mean, I hope so. If he doesn't get killed off, I might stop watching. No, I can never stop watching the show. But I think they could do it in a really funny way and then still have it be like emotional. Actually, now that you mention it, what other highlights do you have, or character just like interactions?
I really liked, like, you kind of saw him evolve, the evolution of Dustin, and I feel really terrible. I'm blanking on some characters' name. Who's the black kid's name?
Lucas.
Dustin and Lucas, their friendship kind of evolves, and especially with like that love triangle that's going on for a second, and then where Steve kind of takes Dustin under his wing, and then you see Lucas and Max, their relationship build, and that kind of blooms in the snowball, which is beautiful, that's nice. I like that.
Yeah, it's a very natural relationship that just
exactly
works.
Like from the beginning all the way through, like nothing really felt manufactured. It seemed like, they spent the right amount of time together to the point where this kind of trust makes sense, and that this kind of relationship makes sense. So yeah, I really and I really want to applaud Lucas. He really kind of like changed a lot. Like the first season, he was very like closed in, very like not pessimistic. He's very not trusting. Like he didn't trust anyone. Like he trusted his friends mostly, but he really didn't trust Eleven. But this one, he kind of like steps out of his shell and like really trusts Max. And I think it also has to do with a lot that he has like a lot of like emotional feelings towards her, and I think that's probably why. But it's still really cool to see him kind of go from this, like you said, pessimistic character who's like, no, like don't tell anyone, and then to like, okay, let me open up and share this really important thing with you that could get me killed. Right.
And so, I think he did like treat Max that way because he was emotionally involved, but I think he also learned from Eleven that he shouldn't just block people out. Yeah. Which is kind of like a great character development.
Yeah. I love moments. I mean, I didn't love them because like it hurt to see him so upset. Right. But you can like see that he was still like really hurt by Eleven leaving, and even though they said it was about a year since,
it was like 365.
Whoops!
Whoa, microphone!
I dropped the mic. I'm sorry.
It was. I remember in the first when Eleven first meets Mike again, when they re-meet each other, I guess. He says it's been a year, and she's like 365 days. Yeah, it's a year, but yeah, it's just like she had been counting down the days, and that's just so sweet.
It's adorable. When is soon?
When is soon?
When is soon?
When is soon? 1,000 days? 1,500 days?
Yeah, I know. I love seeing the relationship between Hopper and Elle evolve too. Like, okay, like in season 1 or in episode 1, I didn't expect them to drop that kind of bombshell so soon, where he like walks into the cabin and she's just there. I was like, oh snap! So she's here now. Like we're not like looking for her in the season. She's here, and she's like been here, and it's like, I don't know. I love how they don't. It's funny, like when he walks in, it's just kind of like he just casually sits down and just starts eating with her, and just starts talking with her without like sharing anything, without having like text on the screen or anything. It just says they've been doing this for a while. She's been here for a while.
That's great. That's some great film, I guess. I mean, it is a TV series, but that's great film because
that's great. That's great writing. That's great directing. Like that's great. Like it's showing, not telling.
Exactly, and it says so much. There's almost no dialogue. I feel like a lot of the show is that way. It tells you so many things just through the characters' emotions, through what they're doing, but it has a lot of dialogue, but it's all necessary. And that's, I think, what any type of great just entertainment or piece of art does.
I was gonna say, was it you or someone else that mentioned how in the beginning they were playing Dig Dug, and then later on it's the main creature was like getting throughout the town by like digging tunnels underneath the ground?
That's kind of something that the cast was talking about. They have this sort of behind the scenes interview show called Beyond Stranger Things. I watched half of it so far, but that's also on Netflix, where they have the rotations of the cast and the directors and one of the producers just kind of talk about the show. And they mentioned that, Dig Dug, the Duffer Brothers, hadn't actually played Dig Dug when they were kids. And a lot of the stuff that is in the show, they pull from their lives when they were growing up. But Dig Dug, they purposefully chose because of the tunnels. And that's just kind of one example of all the different, just kind of subtle references that they have. Different, like, themes and... Yeah,
it was a very like subtle foreshadowing that I didn't really realize until you mentioned it, and I thought, yeah, that is very true. Like they played Dig Dug, and then later on, the main antagonist of the story is like digging. Yeah, the Mind Flayer is like digging tunnels under the ground, and that's like the main obstacle that they have to face. So like I'd never really put two and two together, but that's actually like a really cool like. Well, it's funny because I think they kind of throw you for a loop, because they're playing Dig Dug, and then Will goes outside and sees that giant thing
in the first episode.
In the very first episode. So I don't think of that immediately,
because you don't see the tunnels till later.
No, the tunnels don't come up till like midway, like halfway through.
But another like part is they're playing Dragon's Lair, and I'm pretty sure this one's a little bit more obvious, but I think the Mind Flayer is supposed to be the dragon. That one is more right away. Like you see the Mind Flayer outside, you see the main threat. And it's kind of like fighting that dragon.
So here's a question I have for you.
Sure.
Do you think the Mind Flayer, the big like shadow thing that we're seeing, is that the creature's actual form, or is that just a shadow of the creature? And are we actually going to see like an actual physical, like tangible thing with like teeth and like skin and eyes?
That's actually a really good question.
Or because they kept referring to it as like a shadow thing. So is that the creature? Is the creature itself a shadow, or is the creature something else that we can't see because it's in the upside down and it's like using Will to get through?
Fantastic question.
And I only asked that before you answer. Sorry.
Okay.
In the end, where Elle's closing up the hole, which that was an amazing scene in itself.
Yeah.
You see like the head of it kind of start to approach the portal, like, oh crap, like she's closing it. I need to get through like now. Like I've been waiting I've been waiting and waiting. I need to take this opportunity now, kind of thing. So he starts coming towards the thing. It kind of looks like a shadow, but we don't see it because it's on the other side of the portal. But it seems like it had sounds like a monster. It had sounds like an actual like tangible terrestrial creature. So my thought was, is that shadow just that? Is it a shadow, and is its actual form or actual look being saved for season 3?
You know, I think you're right. I think it's definitely being saved for season 3. I think what they've shown so far is more of a clue into what it's going to look like. And I'm pretty sure if it comes into the physical world, it will have a different form, more physical, more like fleshy. Because the Demodogs, when they are in the physical world, they're like very physical and just, they aren't shadows. We've only seen the Mind Flayer in the Upside Down. And we've only seen Will looking at the Mind Flayer when he is kind of having that seizure and is in the Upside Down, sort of. Building off of that a little bit more, it might not even be the ultimate threat. Because if we go into a season 4, which I think the Duffer Brothers have said that they plan to end on a season 4, like they're like thinking season 4, it's not concrete yet, but I mean, as we've seen with from season 1 to season 2, they like upped the threat a lot. Season 3 is resolving the Mind Flayer and kind of them battling it. There could be a greater threat. I wouldn't put it past the Duffer Brothers to come up with something even crazier. I don't necessarily need it as long as they handle the Mind Flayer well, but who knows, maybe there's like a lot of Mind Flayers and that's just like one of the puppets controlling the other puppets. I don't know. What do you think?
Whoa. Honestly, I feel like what you said, when the Duffer Brothers said that it might go into season 4 but nothing's concrete, I think that just depends on whether or not they can tie off loose ends in this season 3. If they can tie off everything cleanly in this season 3, they could leave it at that, and they might not need a season 4. I think they would only need a season 4 on the off chance there's like more than like 2 loose ends, something that just wasn't explained. Then I think maybe if season 3 ends with a teaser, then because like you said, like I'm curious where they're going to go from there, because the first one, it was the Demogorgon, and now it's like the Demodogs and the Mind Flayer, which is like huge,
a
comparison to the Demogorgon. It's gigantic, and clearly like this upside down world, these monsters, like the Demodogs and the Demogorgon, are very similar. The characteristics anyway, like the faces.
I mean, the Demodogs,
they obviously they're like dogs, but their faces open up,
right?
Like the plants, like the Demogorgon.
Right. I'm guessing they evolved into a Demogorgon at some point.
I don't know. Well, no? I wouldn't say that, only because once they got to that dog-like form, they kind of stayed there. They didn't mention anything about them evolving again. Yeah. That's what I kind of thought they would too.
So maybe they're like separate.
Maybe they are like separate. Maybe this upside down world has a lot of these different types of creatures, so maybe there's like a different type of like dema something or other,
right,
that maybe the Mind Flayer will use to try to get over again. And then we'll have, I'm curious, maybe it'll, because they went on the biological level with Will, and he went into him and was like possessed by him. I wonder if they'll probably go for more of like an assault thing, because like the dogs are more like protective, so I wonder if maybe they maybe just send more Demogorgons, maybe, I don't know, right. But then I feel like that's just like recycling from season 1. It would have to be something different, but I feel like because then I think in the end, like it's season 3, like they'd have to kill this Mind Flayer, and it's huge.
I don't even know how you would do that.
I mean
11, but maybe 8 comes into the picture as well.
What I'm thinking is maybe they're setting up, we only know about 11 and 8. There might be more kids, and there might be more experiments. So I think maybe, we get introduced to more, and then maybe the season finale is like all of them coming together to destroy this thing. Because maybe that was the end game altogether. Maybe the end game was to defeat this ultimate evil that was on a parallel universe to us. And, the government just seemed bad, but it was really, they had our best intentions all along. I don't know.
Right. And we know that 11 has closed the portal, but because they showed the Mind Flayer, we know, or the gate, but we know that the Mind Flayer is still a threat. So somehow it's going to be reopened. But definitely, I think the whole idea of all these different gifted, it's basically X-Men, kind of like the concept, is done really well. So it didn't really bother me, but I did get like those X-Men vibes when 11 and 8 were sort of just talking to each other about their gifts and harnessing their powers. But if we do have them coming together, then they definitely did a good job introducing it in season 2. Kind of like there's more of them. Also, kind of, even though the mom, 11's mom, is kind of insane, she also has kind of those quirks of some like mutant person.
She's able to kind of like go into the empty or the nothing, and kind of look around and can try to communicate to her daughter.
Yeah, which, by the way, those scenes with like the black backdrops and the like water floor, amazingly shot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, if you remind me again real quickly, how does the season 2 end again? Like,
it's the snowball they're dancing, and it has kind of like the Police's
song, that's right.
I'll Be Watching You.
That's right, and it backs out, and then
it kind of pans
the man to the big thing, and then you see
the whole school goes upside down.
Yeah, the upside down, and you see the Mind Flayer like standing above it,
just like with thunder and just terrifying.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that. So definitely like following them, and it knows they're there, and it's like plotting again.
How do you think it hasn't been hinted at, but do you think there's going to be like a different way for the Mind Flayer to break into reality, or
might use 8?
Maybe.
Because it used,
Interesting.
it used 11 to create the gate the first time. So I don't see any reason why it couldn't use someone else who had powers like that.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. I wonder if probably all the people that are going to be gifted and kind of have those powers are around that age, I'm guessing. Because everyone that was experimented on, that we've been shown at least, are kids
You're right.
when they were experimented on. But yeah, any final thoughts about the show?
Final thoughts. I love the show, and however they do decide to end it, I just hope that they do all the characters justice and that they leave as few loose ends as possible. That's my final thought, because nothing kills me more than a show that just leaves.
And it's just kind of like, well, you get to decide what happens. No,
I hate that
crap.
that is garbage. Don't do that.
No, I feel like that's lazy storytelling.
I need a definitive ending that tells me this happened to this person, and this person is dead. Do not leave it up for interpretation. I will stab you. Don't do that.
I will stab you I will go through the computer and out of your computer and just stab you.
if I sense you write that. I don't really mind how they complete it or how they complete the story, as long as there's no loose ends and nothing's left for interpretation.
I'm okay with like a little bit of ambiguity, but if it's done right in like it has finality to it, and you know where the character is going. If you know the character enough, I feel like it can be done well. But I feel like so many shows and movies and stuff is just like,
or they kind of like they kind of like walk away, and then like if you know the character, you know that they're gonna go do something good. But if you don't know enough about them, it's like, where are they going? What's
and I
next
feel
for
like
them?
most of just entertainment falls on the spectrum. Falls on like the far left side of the spectrum, where it's just like you have no idea what they're gonna do because it was not hinted at all, and that's just poor storytelling. But yeah, I watched season 2 twice already. I will probably watch it again before the year's out. But it's amazing storytelling, and it just hit all the right notes for me. And I think it's very few shows have reached like that level of quality.
Definitely go watch it. It's a great show.
If you're listening to this,
and also if you're listening to this and haven't seen it,
wow.
I'm sorry, we just spoiled basically everything for you.
I mean, we warned you. I don't know why you'd skip to this part, but
I don't know why you didn't. But anyway.
Yeah, so thanks for listening to our podcast, Nerding Out.
Yeah.
So I'm Nathaniel.
I'm Evan.
And yeah, if you have any ideas for our show or
suggestions for things you'd like to hear us talk about, let us know.
Yeah, just shoot us a message. Hopefully we will be up on some sort of streaming service like iTunes soon, so we're looking into that.
Yeah, we're looking into that, but for now, this one will probably be on Facebook again. Hopefully we'll be up on a streaming website soon. Hopefully we'll have our own website up, and we will keep you guys posted if we have any other news on that. In the meantime, stay nerdy. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks so much.